Caesar produced the gift.
Okay, yo, family, what's good? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. Welcome. You are locked in. It is Tuesday. Ronin Radio is back. And this week, oh man, this week's going to be a banger. But today, even more so. We await the release of Voyager, a new game in the Ronin ecosystem. There's been a lot of talk about it, so we going continue the conversation. We have with us today the pleasure of co-founder of Voya Games. Rev is in the building with us, so we'll bring him on stage pretty soon. Shout out to everyone that's already pulling in. Make sure you're reposting the stream, get it out there. Again, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're going to start throwing ronkies in your face. Rice farming still underway. A lot of things to talk about though, man. I'm excited about some of the ideology that we've been hearing and the language that we've been hearing over the last few weeks. We can expand on that. But of course, priority today is finding out more about Angry Dynamite's lab, Craft World itself, and Project Voyager, which will be launching, I believe, tomorrow. So this is the Alpha Central. Tell your friends, tell your mom, go shout at your dog, let him know as well. And we'll be live in about 4 minutes or so. All right, so tune in, repost the stream, and let's get this thing popping, okay? All right, shut up, bye. Special shout out to people that be commenting. You know what I mean? When I see the GMs, bro, that gives me energy. That fires me up. So if you're here lurking, I mean, that's cool. I don't mind you lurking either. Like pump out bags and stuff. Like be in the stream. Don't say nothing. It's cool. But those people that say GM to you, man. Big love. Yeah, big shout out to the Buddha, bro. Actually, you know what? The Buddha's the GOAT because he plugged us with this one. I'm not joking, bro. It was in the chat that we had. If you want to hop on later in the show, more than welcome, bro. Your energy is always appreciated. I love high energy people like yourself, bro. So if you want to come through to the show at some point today, just DM me, bro. We'll make it happen, okay? All right, I think it's a better time than ever to get this show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As I said, you are locked into the Ronin Radio. If you don't already, make sure to follow our account over on X and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel. We bring you shows every single week, and if you are new here in the Ronin ecosystem, following alongside the Ronin Radio is one way to stay plugged in. We also have our large community over with the people of Moses. If you want to join that Discord server where we share the alpha and make sure everybody eats, then the link is in the Ronin Radio bio. Come through and play some games with us and learn more about this environment, this ecosystem, the industry itself, with the minds of people like Theban 1437. Stark's in there too. A lot of cool people in the community hanging out in Moses. So if you want to join, make sure to follow through on our bio. The link is there. Let's start the show though today, boy. Listen, yo, turn the music, cut the music, DJ. My Mystic Axie, he always wants to play these tunes, but we got to cut it for today. Load up me. Good morning. Yo, no, I'm not joking. I see the signs, bro. Ronin is actually cooking up something disgustingly good. I tweeted last night, imagine the king of the game in chains. It's only right that we come up with the most amazing gamification of rewards, right? And on that note, I'm going to say no more, but welcome to the Ronin Radio. Lock in with us. I got my boys with me, you know what I mean? The co-host of the century, saying only me, nobody else has said that. They're in the building, so I'm going to bring them on stage and you guys can say hello too. Look at these beautiful, handsome gentlemen. Yo, good morning, lads. How are we?
Yeah,
what's going on?
You forgot to introduce Stark as well.
Yeah. We also
So
have
rude.
Stark. Stark is in the gym, getting that Ronin gym in. He's got a beautiful tan, sun kissed from the weekend. I don't know if you turn a light on how red that tan might look, but it's been.
No, it's okay. I've got good genetics for tanning. So compared to my wife, just because I grew up on an island and stuff like that too. So I'm used to.
Honestly, your genetics are like at war with each other. If you're
but
honest.
those are the best genetics, most diversity.
It's like internal confusion.
Yeah, the opposite is not good,
Yeah, just to give clarity on that, like Stark is equally from Vanuatu and has Scottish in him as well. So it's like, you couldn't get like colder and windier and more island boy vibes ever. But
there's some French and New Zealand in there too. So.
Okay, then yeah, it's definitely at war. That's for sure. Either way, welcome, bro, lads. I'm excited for today because co-founder of Voya Games, Rev, is in the building. We're going to bring him on stage in a second. We showcased Craft World last week, which is their first experience. We spoke about how they've been live for over a year now. The user retention is there. We saw that they have revenue models, a lot of really positive things, and also the $5 million raised recently. I believe if G-Host is in the camp of supporting a company, he does his diligence, and also people like 1KX Network. There's a lot of people there that are interested in this game. So we're gonna get into or under the hood, into the engine, in the mind of Rev today to find out exactly what has been happening and what is to come. Because tomorrow Voyager goes live, and I want to know the alpha. I can't lie. I know you have some questions, Stark, so feel free to jump in at any stage. Cut me up. I don't mind today. I won't get aggressive. I won't get mad. Theban, I don't know if you have anything, so I'm not expecting shit from you today, but I'm glad you're here.
Wow, that was rude.
All right.
It's an interesting way to get started.
But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, co-founder of Voya Games, we have Rev in the building. I actually watched his interview that has been released recently. We're going to share that from our account later today, so you can tune into it as well. And we will try not to double up on that information, but some things will be repeated. I'm glad to welcome to the stage Mr. Rev, bro. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
What's up?
GM.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Sounded good. I don't know. You can go to like the settings, and maybe I'm not sure if that is your priority mic. Sometimes it messes up for me as well. But just before we get into it, just to clear those things out. But yeah, Rev, I want to call you Ollie, bro. I watched the interview yesterday. Ollie is the name. I really want people to get to know you as a founder. I think it's really important in Ronin when we get to know the people behind the projects. And as of recent, joining Ronin in the open Ronin stage, you guys have the most. I guess I have the most confidence in this project that has joined Ronin since open Ronin, and I'm genuinely addicted. I'm genuinely addicted to Craft World. So good start for sure. I guess the best way to start this off is letting the audience know who you are, a little bit about yourself, and how you come to the point of co-founding Voya Games.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure. I've been watching a few episodes from before, and now very excited to be here on the show finally. And a few words about myself. I've been a lifelong gamer, started playing since I basically can hold a Game Boy. Game Boy Pocket was my first thing.
Nice.
And since then, I couldn't stop. Never could imagine developing games, but then some friend of mine, while I was studying in a student's apartment, said like, hey, let's just build games. And that's what we did. And so we focused on building free-to-play mobile games, and we found one hit that attracted millions of users. I think more than 200 million downloads we generated. Wow. And that was Idle Miner Tycoon. And it's basically a mining game where you build your mining empire from scratch. And that sold out pretty well. And our company that developed the game and further games got acquired by Ubisoft in 2020. And we stayed there a bit longer, and in 21 we left as the founders. And I was looking around what was happening, and what was happening back then was Axie Infinity, summer of 21. I think we all can remember, for the ones who were already there in the Web3 space, what of an hype that it was, and what it all got rolling. And that got me so excited that I wanted to build in Web3 as well, and started to found Voya and Craft World and the whole ecosystem. And super humbled that Chiho joined us as an investor, and a lot of other great people. We have a lot of CyberCons investors, for example, as well. Nice. And so now it's super cool to join this family finally with our games. And tomorrow Project Voyager will launch. We can talk more about it in a second, but it will be definitely a very cool thing, which I think will bring the whole kind of gaming experience to a new level on Web3.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. It was really not surprising, but I guess it was nice to know that like your entry or inspiration to get into Web3 gaming or crypto gaming came from Axie as well. You know, a lot of us, we're here in Ronin. That's kind of that central point in where we kind of unified in terms of our thoughts of this industry, what was possible to be created, and to know that, you know, we've got people who have been building projects coming into Ronin now in an open Ronin network who came from Axie, sorry, is, you know, it's a full circle moment. So huge congratulations for getting to this point. I think one thing that I'm interested in is, you know, the team itself. As you say, you built you know, a company before that was acquired by Ubisoft. Similar team, same people. Are we looking at the same roster or additions, etc.?
No, it's like new people. So I think it's important because I think we're building games which are quite different from Web2 games. And for me, it was always important to build something from the ground up with Web3 integrated. So I've seen a lot of games which are more using typical Web2 game mechanics or games and just like slap some tokens on top, or kind of make their currency with a token. And I think that's not going to work because it's nothing really new. It doesn't really utilize the blockchain. And I thought like, we need to build it from ground up. And for this, I need people who are like very open for Web3, but still like kind of have some game development knowledge. I think it's still important to get this knowledge from the gaming side in here. And now we are a team of 11 people, mostly game developers, but with an excitement for Web3. And so it's a different team, different challenges, but gaming is still in its core.
Yeah, of course. Bullish. Because you know what? A lot of it out here in this industry is lazy work. Like you said, it's just you slap some tokens on top of it and think you made something. And, you know, that's not going to cut the mustard, as they say. Testnet for a year. A lot of these projects are like, oh, let's make a cool looking trailer and release a white paper and then raise millions of dollars to Slow Rug. You know, having Testnet out there, not only does that give you information to, you know, apply to the formula of the game that you're creating, but it kind of gives that proof model, right? And I'm sure it's probably helped you raising $5 million in the market climate that we've just recently had. You know, has to have some kind of substance, and Testnet really has done that for you. You know, just reading off some of the metrics, we've spoken about it, and it's been mostly, you know, vocalized across the community. But 240,000, you know, monthly active players. Which is fantastic, and even on the daily basis, you see a retention rate of, you know, upwards of 5,000 to 6,000 players even to date, and that's with Craftworld being on the testnet and it not actually being on chain. On chain comes in July, but of course we're focusing on Voyager for tomorrow. I really enjoy Craftworld. I don't see myself as someone that would be thinking throughout the day, like I'm cooking dinner and I'm thinking, you know what, whilst I'm waiting 30 minutes for this thing to cook in the oven, I may as well go and reset one of my factories and let two things cook at once. I never really saw myself being in the weeds of an experience, but I really have been, and that's honest and authentic. Like I'm not saying this just to push the game out there, but it's actually been on my mind since I started playing. I wonder how different Voyager is an experience from Craftworld. So I think that's kind of where I want to start with asking you, can you give us your detailed description of what Voyager is, and maybe the audience can find out a bit more and anticipate the launch tomorrow. There have been some information, but to hear it from yourself, I think would be really important.
Of course. Yeah, Voyager is basically the second game in our ecosystem. We have Craftworld, which is our main game, which is out there, as we said, for over a year. We've been building this from ground up. You can play it already on the testnet. You can see what it is about. We're not just talking about things, we're doing things, and you can experience them on your own, as Gila does. And Project Voyager will be the next kind of game in this ecosystem. And our goal is to build different games that can support each other in order to attract more people or retain them longer, and so on and so forth. So Project Voyager will focus on onboarding the Web3 native crowd. With Craftworld, we already have a lot of Web2 people actually joining, and our goal is to try to convert them. Still, it's also a lot of fun for Web3 people, and there's a lot of things you can do with trading and so on, but I think Web3 people enjoy a lot. But Project Voyager will be very specific onboarding game for the Web3 native crowd. So what does it mean? You complete quests in Craftworld, actually. So that's one part, or on the social creator side. And therefore, you earn crystals. With crystals, you're building a starship for the dinos to escape the testnet world and enter a new world. And with these crystals, you help building the starship. You can use them to acquire equipment pieces. So you are one engineer, you have a dino as an engineer, and it needs equipment in order to help build that ship. And the equipment will then basically boost your crystals that you get from the quests. And there's a lot of different ways, a lot of quests, and a lot of different ways on how you also can get this equipment. And I think it's a bit similar to what you know from other questing systems out there, but it's on a whole new level. It's that's why we're not calling it a system, we call it a game. And I think it will definitely help to make the game even more engaging, so that you can't stop while you're cooking. And it will get to a whole new competitive level as well, as we are paying out mainnet Dino Coin. That's the only way for now on how to get mainnet Dino Coin is through Project Voyager. And based on your leaderboard position, you will get a distribution here.
Nice. Yeah. We actually have a post, shout out to Velita. They made a post breaking down kind of what Voyager is. We're going to share that from the Ronin Radio account. So if anybody wants to check that out and read through it, it will be on our profile shortly in the next few minutes or so. But yeah, I genuinely think this is more of a transitory, right? Like the Voyager is a transitional phase into bringing all of these features that you guys have built out in the game on chain. It's the progress is going to transition over. So I really believe right now people should be taking advantage of getting into Craftworld and starting to assemble their own factories and understand the game, understand the resources that do take place there. And I'm excited to see where this goes when you unlock the Web3 elements of it. Already seeing a lot of astute approach to the Web2 side of things. Advertisement revenue model exists. Those things are rare. It's crazy when you think about it in this industry, how many games have even kind of tapped in to those types of revenue streams. I'm not going to be, probe and pry for information on, how much money are you making on those things? But genuinely, a lot of these gaming projects they've never even reached that point, right? So it's all is kind of a hats off. Stark, I wonder if you want to share some of your thoughts or questions that you had? You were like, "Oh, I'm excited for this one." So I'm excited to hear what you have to say today, bro.
Well, first of all, a big part of the excitement, almost it's half jokingly, but it's like it's exciting to have a game on Ronin that's actually raised money recently, so we can expect at least a few months before you guys go broke minimum. Because that's been, I don't know if you've been following,
we're not planning to go broke anytime soon.
Yeah.
But that's been a bit the meta, where there was like the initial hype after Open Ronin, and then just the meta has been a lot of games coming as their last hurrah to Ronin. And then, but at that point, no amount of gamers, like in all of that, it's too late, So that was the first thing that was exciting. Like, I'll echo what Gila was saying, which is like, I don't know even how to explain it, because it's just it's on the surface, it's like it's such a simple, almost stupid game without meaning any insult, but it's like you get hooked. So there's you guys have definitely bottled some form of magic of lightning, and I think that comes from your your team and your years of experience. And it's more like partly a question, but also I think it'll answer itself in time too. But it's like since the game is so simple for now, like the experience, what do you gain? What's the plan? Like, what's being added by bringing it on chain? And then once you add things on chain, that's a lot of questions. I should have thought about it ahead of time, but it's about like bots, basically. Like if something is if it's a simple game with a lot of clicking, and then you bring things on chain, then you incentivize bots. So it's more a general question about how do you guys think about all that, and what have you guys already thought about?
Yeah. First, let me touch on a few things before answering your questions. So for us, it's very important. Like, we are not here. We are not joining Ronin to make a few bucks and to leave or Rakuten. As we said, like we are just at the beginning of our journey, and we chose Ronin because we believe there's the best community and it's the best chain where we can deploy our vision onto. And that's why we chose Ronin. And as you said, we raised money previously. We are a small team. We have right now, for our current costs, and we're not planning to spike it up, we have more than 2 years of runway. So even if we don't make any revenue from now on, we can operate for at least 2 years. So that said, we are still trying to build a sustainable business model, because what Sheila said as well is like that you need to think about how to make revenue, because otherwise you will never be sustainable, and at some point money will run out, and investors at some point will also say like, hey, if there's no path on how you can make revenue, why should I support you? And for us, it's very important to get started with this, and we don't want to squeeze out any penny out of the players, but we need to get to a path where we at least can pay our bills so that we can build and continue our vision and the great games we are building for the community. So that was just a very important point for me to make, because we've seen a lot of games coming to Ronin, shutting down, and that's just an important point for me here. Then second is about the gameplay itself. It's a very simple game. I think the magic with every game is how can you make something simple as much fun as possible? Because oftentimes more complexity doesn't necessarily add fun elements to it. You can make the most complex games. It's easy, but if you restrict yourself to a few things and try to see like how you can squeeze out the most out of this simple loop or core loop of game, then I think you have something sticky, what people enjoy, where they don't need to think too much, but it's still like kind of is an enjoyable experience. And adding to your first question, I think was like, okay, we have Web3 inside the game now, and I think this opens up like a lot of more possibility to this very simple core loop, where you basically just collect resources, craft other resources out of them, and then build these masterpieces, as we call them. That's the very simple 3 steps that you can do. But by having now all of the resources, we have more than 25 resources on chain, this opens up a lot more opportunities and a lot more depths inside into the gameplay experience itself. So all of the resources can be traded with each other. It's a purely player-owned economy. So that means like we are not interfering with that. People provide liquidity to players themselves, provide liquidities to the liquidity pool so that they become tradable. And people just trade through soon to be Katana decks when we launch on Ronin. And there's nothing we interfere with. The prices are basically made by supply and demand. That's what the players decide. The liquidity is provided by the players and so on and so forth. And I think there's much more you can do by just having these tokens on chain. You can send it to your friends. You can lend it out to someone else that might need it, and you get something else back. So this, by putting these resources on chain, we add a lot of depth, unlimited depth, I would say, into the game, into this very simple gameplay experience. And that's what I find so exciting and interesting about Web3. And last but not least, the bot issue. So of course, like we've built this, we have this in our heads. Right now, there's free raw resources. The Earth one is the one everyone gets for free, and everyone can farm this. It's important for us to have a very easy onboarding experience with zero friction. You don't need to buy an NFT. You don't need to create a wallet. You don't need to create an account, and use this as an onboarding, and therefore you can play the game quite a lot with this free resource. Then we have like the fire and the water resources, which can only be acquired when you hold an NFT, or like not acquired, but the NFTs are the only way on how to issue new tokens. And then, of course, like you can buy them through through trading from these players, or if you have the NFT, of course, then you can use them on your own. But what it does actually, it creates a scarcity that can't be botted, because there's only so many tokens in there, and if you want to really kind of get in there, you need to find ways on how you can buy them from these other players. And this is already kind of a bot protection in itself. Nevertheless, the Earth Pass, we believe that some of the resources will still be kind of a bit prone to multi-accounting, but there's still work that needs to be done in order to get there. And the actual thing that makes a difference is like how you trade in the game and how you basically strategize. So I think in the future it will be like the Earth resources and so on, it will be easily acquirable by everyone. But then it's like a thing about like, okay, what do I buy? What do I upgrade, and all of these things. So the strategy part becomes a way more important point in the future.
Yeah, I actually think it's really interesting though, because you think about it, the NFTs themselves are the sole point of essentially minting new tokens into the ecosystem. And when we go on chain and they become tradable, like essentially you guys already will have a dynamic of, increase in value of such NFTs, because, when people start realizing, oh, wait, there is demand, or I have demand, where do I go for that? Arguably you're going to be purchasing those assets from players within the ecosystem. So, thinking of that as a form of bot protection in itself it does make sense. And then even if it is, even if bots are still enticed into that economy, right, there's a price, right, there's an open market. They essentially will enhance, other players that exist and real people that have these NFTs. And there's a lesser of that evil essentially in that scenario. And we have to be honest, and we pride this show on the authenticity. This entire space is full of like applications that are manipulated by bot interaction, and in some cases, we're going into a future where that will be totally unavoidable anyway, regardless of the things that you put in place. So having a structure that actually doesn't have like a direct extraction approach, and that actually would enhance real people who are believers in the project, that for me is a good position to be in, even if there is an issue, quote unquote issue.
You could even argue that it's because not all bots are bad. And if, let's say, one scenario where bots are just farming Earth, and then Earth becomes super cheap, you're a player that's it. I think anyone who started playing Craftwall, it's your main frustration. You've not got enough Earth, so it's okay if bots are doing the grunt work, right? It's about creating a thing where you're valuing and you're rewarding the real players in what you're trying to do with the tokens and stuff like that, because the bots are always going to be there, and you have to learn how to embrace them, because you can't, if it's like an impossible game of whack-a-mole if your strategy is to remove them.
Exactly, like you can't fight bots entirely, like none of even
it's a losing battle
games. Yeah, Web2 games have the same problem actually. So it's not like a new thing in Web3, although it's maybe more prominent intense, I would say. But I think like even the biggest games out there, like call it World of Warcraft or so, they have a lot of bots that are farming also like gold and selling it to players on a black market. And so we also are not having any magic bullet to avoid or like to ban all of the bots out there. But as you said, we need to embrace and we need to find ways and how to let them do the dump work so that you don't need to do it and you can benefit from it, and you are more benefiting from the things about like, okay, what do I upgrade, what do I trade, looking at the market and all of these things. So that's our approach on how to deal with them. So,
and I had a follow-up also. Yeah, it was about like Pixels, like Pixels game, because I think there's a lot of overlap. So it was like wondering how much, like if you've studied them, but I think you must have, because I think there's a lot of overlap, not just in the bot detection, but a bit for the economy. But it is about the bot detection, because you see similarities. So I'm wondering if, for example, like the VIP pass that they have, and then there's ways to like what's it called when you pay to not have the ads? Is there a name for it, or is it just to get you pay for the permanent 2x boost? Is there a name for that?
No.
It's just a premium feature or whatever. Yeah. But there's already stuff in place to like to help, because that's one of the ways that they were the most effective in preventing some bots. It's like you put some form of paywall, and that means you're buying yourself time before having to detect them. And as long as so let's say it's a week or two for a new account before you can withdraw, interact with Katana. Exactly. Those are ways you can. But so it was more like about what have you learned from Pixels, or that you didn't know yourself or learn yourself? What did you learn from looking at them?
Yeah. So I think I first met Luke. It was just briefly at a dinner last year, I think. It's more than a year ago. And he mentioned like how they see it, like what you said, like in order to withdraw your tokens on chain, you need to first buy a certain pass or spend some money. And when he told me that, I was like, okay, wow, that's a very interesting take on it. And this opens not just the bot protection, but also a revenue stream for Pixels themselves. I think Luke is really pushing this, what he calls is a return on reward spent. So they basically want to, the rewards that are giving out, they have a certain financial value, and they are basically, their aim is to also make enough revenue to basically subsidize the rewards so that it becomes sustainable. And that's one part of like getting to this return on reward spent to 100%, is like by limiting the token payouts and monetizing them accordingly. So I think it's a very interesting model, and I think they were at least the first one I've heard it from, and I think it's a very genius thing. And we also look into how we can incorporate similar mechanics and things into Craftworld, also when launching on mainnet. And it can just be another protection layer on top.
Yeah. I'm really glad to hear that, actually, because Ronin, one of the intentions is that, developers, we'd have a breeding ground of game developers that are, have experience in being on chain and sharing, ideas and evolution moving forwards. I'm going to go with, obviously, Theban's got some points here. We're going to bring him through. And then I want to just close out, because I know you it's a busy day. It's a busy time for you, Rev. And close out afterwards, just asking about, okay, Voyager is coming tomorrow. How are we going to get involved with it? But let's go with Theban, 1437, and we'll get onto that.
Yeah, I like Stark's questions here, and I love your answers, Rev, as well. Like, I think Rev, do I call you Rev, Revo? What works?
Both is fine. I don't care so much, as long as people know who you're speaking to.
Right. So like you talked about Web 2 having botting issues, Web 3 having botting issue. I think in Web 2, like most of the games, sure, they care, but it's like they're not really incentivized a lot to like shut it down as much as in Web 3, right? Like we played, I mean, I don't know. At this point, I probably played like 50 to 100 like Web 3 games. I'd advise on multiple of them, like and most of their, or actually the number one issue why they tend to trend to zero, apart from like poor tokenomics, is like the botting stuff, right? So I think like in Web 3, there's a unique thing where like you have to like kind of make it your priority, and I think that's why like Stark was asking those kind of questions. And I think the one that probably works the best, like you talked about, the Earth mats, and how like, it's hard for new guys, or it's a frustration. Stark was saying it's a frustration for the players to get that at the beginning, and then maybe they can let the botters deal with that. The problem there is like, if one material becomes oversupplied at some point, which it will, right? It's gonna eventually happen. Now you're like chasing to put out that fire, right? And then because you don't want to just like yoink that like out of the market. So we kind of saw this with like Axie back in 2021, where you had all these botters coming in, and they were buying NFTs too. So even like owning NFTs for materials doesn't really solve the issue, because we already seen it with Axie. And like the botters still own billions and billions of SLP to this day. They actually can't offload all of it. So they're like literally still selling to this day. They got it on Binance or something and just chilling and like, slowly getting rid of it. So I think the biggest thing that I've noticed that was probably the best help, apart from, what you said about, what Luke said, is you have like a timer of like how long it would take for when you can actually withdraw or like bring it on chain, like some of the rarer materials, for example. And then you have to like actively ban bots, like you actually have to have a system where you find or figure out like where the automation is, and like you just gotta manually get rid of them, which sucks because it's gonna take a lot of work and a lot of research and stuff. But like the problem with Web3 is that everyone shares the liquidity, right? So like if they start extracting like and someone else not gaining, then it's a huge problem. And you also said about, sorry, there was so much, I was just listening and my brain just kept working and working and working. The last thing I want to say was about how you can pay, and like the more you put in, like the more rewards you get back. I'm seeing it right now with like, for example, Tokyo Beast. It's probably like one of the hottest games at the moment. It's like how they created the leaderboard structure and the arena structure is like at the end of the week or end of the month, you have like this big tournament, as they call it, but it's like an auto battler, right? Where you just set up your team, they go and fight on their own, and then you have a winner come out, right? But the way that you climb the leaderboard is like you need to keep buying gems nonstop, right? So it's like the top 20 is going to be all whales, right? But then it makes sense because they're the ones putting most of the money into the game. Okay, let it be. So they've really focused on like the whale aspect, the spending aspect, and these whales are capable of making back, like, let's say here and there, they're going to see 30% to 40% of their ROI coming back in, and that like kind of ropes them in, thinking like, okay, well, now in the next month I'll get another 30 to 40%, like I'll break even pretty soon, right? But it's like not really the case, because there's a token, it's fluctuating. Maybe 1 month you might get more, 1 month you might get less. But I liked what you said about the structure of like, okay, the more you spend, the more access to rewards that you have, instead of it being like an equal playing field, and if you spend more time you get rewards. And that's kind of like another issue we've seen in Web3, where people are like, okay, let's go wide with everything, let's give everybody an opportunity to make rewards and so on. But then reality is like, there are quality users who are, putting a lot into your economy through liquidity and also time, and like they do need to be rewarded significantly more than all the other users. And that's something that like I do agree with what you said about like, Luke's idea with it as well.
Yeah. I want to touch on a few things here. So I think the most issues the Web3 games have is not the bots. I think it's about like that they can't attract that many players who are willing to spend more money that they can get back. And that's the main issue, because if you see it from a player who just want to have fun, wants to spend money to have more fun, for them it's quite good if there's a lot of bots, because if there's a lot of bots, there's a lot of resources, then the resource price will fall to zero, right? Or like close to zero. So they can buy it in for cheaper. And I think that's actually the main thing about how this whole Web3 gaming space can only work is like if you have enough demand from the buy side. And that's what in the past, at least, that I've seen, a lot of the games fail to do so. And if there's not a lot of demand side for buying them, or if they only buy because they want to make more money, then it's never going to work out. And the botting is not a problem here. It's about like getting real players who want to spend money. In Web2, the Web2 gaming market is 200 billion big. So people spend each year 200 billions and they don't get anything back than fun. And I think that's the audience we also need to get more into Web3, because then we have this demand, and if they are getting resources cheaper, then they are more happy. Like it's like basically countering the whole thing. But of course, if you only have people who are incentivized making money, then of course it's bad, because then you're competing against all of the bots and you almost have no chance competing against the bots, and then you'll never make enough money compared to the bots. Another anecdote, because I think, in Web3 it's talked about a lot, but in Web2 it's a big issue still. Like I played actually Ragnarok. Ragnarok is also, funny enough, a Web3 game now, or like it's launching on Ronin, some things, but they had a mobile game as well. And in this case, they were selling also their gold and resources directly to the players. So it was just like this relationship between the players and the developers. So players buy from developers. But the botting itself made it through the black market possible that like these bots also farming the resources and selling it to the players. And of course, the developers don't want to have this, as they are making money through like selling through their possibilities. And it was actually also a big issue. Like I bought a lot of the resources from farmers as well, and I saved a lot of money. I saved like 1,000. I was really like also maybe considered a whale in the game, but I saved thousands and thousands of dollars because I bought it from the farmers and not from the developers. So for me, it was a good thing that there are bots, that there are players farming these things, because I, as a player, benefited from it. So long story short, I just want to say, like, it's probably not the bots who are the issues. It's about like attracting players who want to spend money for fun.
I mean,
and I agree, we still need to fight them, and we do,
right.
but we'll never win the case. Yeah.
I'll agree with you to an extent, but we can see as it is right now, why I'm saying the bots are important is because they are the ones who are constantly going to market dump versus players. If they're the ones actually grinding the same thing, they're opting, right? They have an option to actually reinvest that back into the ecosystem, right? So your game has a healthier ecosystem that has longevity versus like, one source that is constantly pure extraction mode, right? Because like I know I know not all, but like I know a lot of the botter guys like in Web3, right? Their strat is very simple. They take, they sell, they take, they sell. There's no more to it. They don't care if like the token might 100x, right? Or resource might 100x. They want to sell the day that they get it. It's tough no matter what. I don't think like it, I think it's not something that you can like really just ignore. And if you're talking about like cheap resources, we can see all the games that have come out right now, they all have cheap resources, right? But like would you tell me like you wouldn't be able to tell me one game, right, with those cheap resources that like they actually had more users coming in, because like it's just, I don't know. I'm speaking from a Web3 point of view. I agree with you. I think in a perfect world, that is exactly how we would succeed. But as it is right now, I haven't found or seen the one game where in Web3 that has succeeded under that model.
Yeah. So maybe I can ask you a question. Why are you playing, for example, our game? Is it like because you want to sell your resources in the end to players? Or is it because there's something to it which keeps you going and excited about the game? And that you're actually willing to pay for Noid's offer or a battle pass that we have? So what is your motivation right now to play Craftworld?
As for me, it's always opportunity, right? If I see
Yeah.
opportunity in something, I'm gonna take it. Like same thing, same reason why I came into Web3, right? The first reason why I came to Web3 is because someone told me about Axie. They're like, oh, there's a game you can play, you can earn something from it. I was a professional Dota 2 player for like 11 years, so I also played Dota for opportunity, right? I competed internationally, same thing. So, for me, for Web3 at least, that's my case. Maybe it's different for Gillan Stark, but yeah.
Okay, definitely fair point. And I think that's what Web3 is offering and what it's also to some degree about. But I would say there's a lot of players who are also not willing just to play the game for getting more money back. And I think like most of the players who are in Web3, they are more into looking for the opportunities as you are. So my goal is also to bridge more and acquire also more traditional Web2 gamers, because that's needed as well. So I feel like there's then we need to create this equilibrium. Sorry about it. Like kind of
equilibrium. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, equilibrium. Sorry, between the ones who are incentivized to have financial opportunities and the others who are willing to spend on it. Because only if we can get this done, then this can be sustainable at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to onboard more the Web3 crowd also to Web2 crowd to the Web3 side, because right now most of the Web3 players are more incentivized in this realm.
Yeah, I actually, I think I fit really smack bang in the middle of like the debate that is, taking place here, and I support both sides of your guys' beliefs. Stephen being a really close friend of mine over the course of the last few years in this industry, and looking up to someone like yourself, Rev, for developing, to the quality caliber that you are, right? And I am a player that is pulled and pushed between, is it opportunity, is it the fact that I can earn money, or is it the fact that I really enjoy, the process, the journey of the experience of doing that, and coming into this industry as a pure gamer. Like, I played games for fun, right? Like Axie related to me because of the Pokemon correlation. I played VGC high level, and that competition was really what I was there for, and I felt that in Axie, but it was also the funds as well. So I can see both sides of the coin, and I want to say that I've been talking about it. There really is this existential kind of issue going on right now in Web3, and I tweeted it last night that we are just constantly going to tinker between the we need more fun and no, it needs to be more economical and people need to make more money, right? Like those are the 2 points that we are just constantly going to tinker between until the formula, is really uncovered for that sweet spot. It's a transitory period. We're an emerging market. These things are bound to happen. I think you guys are primed and in a great position to really uncover, that sweet spot with the formula. So I have nothing but, faith in that progression, especially today.
And the thing, I really appreciate you guys bringing this up because it's a very important topic, and I think it's good that we're having this debate to talk about, because that's the only way on how we can bring in new ideas, challenge each other's ideas, and like kind of move the space forward in this farm. So although I was having a few different views, I really appreciate like that you're asking these questions, challenging these approaches, and I also like agree to actually most of what you said. I just want to also bring in some different thoughts into it.
Yeah. Rev, you're about to experience a Gila energy burst because I fuck with this. I like this. We need this. People are arguing in the chat, bro. It's like I'm on stage and we're a rock band and there's mosh pits happening. That's what we want to see, bro. We like this. No, genuinely, like the authenticity is real. It's true. I admire founders who are willing to come, out into the open and have these type of discussions. So I appreciate you for being here. With the consideration of time and time of the essence, we have a big launch tomorrow. We're going to wrap this thing up with just asking, okay, the launch is happening tomorrow with Project Voyager. Rev, can you tell us exactly how to get involved for all of those Ronins that are out, or Ronin that are out there who are looking forward to take part in that experience?
Sure. It will launch tomorrow, 1 p.m. UTC time. So like 23 hours from now. And you will definitely hear from it from all our social channels. You will also see it on our website, our newsletter. You can go to our website and put your email as a newsletter. And then you can basically get going. If you want to prepare already, you can start playing Craftworld on a testnet, as a lot of the testnet resources or progress that you make through Craftworld is beneficial for Project Voyager. And you will definitely hear from us when you're following our channels when it goes live and what are the links.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Rev, for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
Would love to see you again at some point throughout the course of the year. Here's to a successful launch with Project Voyager, and of course, look forward to Craftworld being fully on chain in July. Let's get it, man. Welcome to Ronin. We love it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's a big pleasure.
Much love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I see you, bro. Yarrow Central. Yeah, bro. On smoke. I like it. He's cussing you out, Demon, bro. What are we going to do about it? I don't know. Bro. Shit.
Tell that beta ass coward to shut the fuck up. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Imagine sitting there be like, no, bro, look at me. I finished in 2019. You know who I was? I used my voice. Shut the fuck up.
Loki, though. I mean, I love the fact that they bring the smoke, but take the mask off, bro. Mask, like Fuchsia said it.
Fucking cowards, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Shout out to RoboCop though, because he was there. He was fighting your battle.
Bro, listen, anyone with a fucking brain would know that what our problem is, right? And we've seen it with every game that has died.
Every single fucking one.
And I didn't want to say VCs and teams dumping tokens because like that's the obvious, right? And we don't need to say that, but like we know what the fuck the deal is. Like we've been here long enough. We've seen games rise and fall. Like
especially people who've been here since 2019. They've seen even more stuff rise and fall.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, he seems like a guy who has his head on, right? And like I love his input and what he has to say, right? The only reason why I debated it or like fought back for it is like I don't want him to underplay the botting thing.
Yeah.
Like I would never want anyone to, especially if they're working in this industry, to underplay the botting thing. Whether they take it to heart or not, or they deal with it, or maybe he's just trying to balance the conversation. We'll see, right? Like the thing is, I want him to succeed. I want Ronin to succeed. If I didn't want Ronin to succeed, I wouldn't be here. So like I won't say anything that wouldn't make Ronin succeed. I will always play the side that needs the proper information at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially when they've clearly, and that's the only way I can find to describe it, but like when they've bottled some form of lightning, when it's like, so it's just you're hooked to playing, and then like that's almost more like it's almost just a Web 2, it's a Web 2 fun game to, you're on the toilet, you're like, oh shit, I didn't go into craft world, you queue up your things, whatever. And I'm just excited to see how they implement all the Web3 aspects. And as you said, you can't underestimate bots enough.
You can't?
So,
what?
You can't.
I mean, it was a great topic that you brought up, right? Because if you didn't like think about it, like why it was the most important thing, you wouldn't have brought it up, right? So,
Yeah.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult. I think 9 out of 10, platforms that aim to give this type of information, to give this medium of being able to communicate with developers and project founders in this space. 9 times out of 10 they'll shy away from the difficult conversations, and that's the heart of the Ronin Radio. Was it was began so that a community had a voice to ask the questions that were on everybody's mind, or were at least an issue that maybe didn't have a magnifying glass on it. And in no part of life or in the world is it beneficial to have direct ignorance, right? There really is no benefit to it. Ignorance is bliss, I think, is one of the most bullshit sayings that exists on this planet. Either way, I was really happy. Big shout out.
Ignorance is bliss if there's not a Web3 economy behind it.
No. One time here, shout out. I'm gonna shout out myself. That's fucking weird, but I'll shout out myself. Right, I was having shower thoughts. Right, one time, and I was like, "Ignorance is bliss" is such bullshit. I was like, "How many words can I put instead of bliss?" Ignorance is vulgar in many regards. Like, just from a life element. Let's not get philosophical here, but ultimately, the ignorance is not really serving to anything. I think acknowledgement is the best part. You go through naivety, where you don't even know that you're ignorant, and you go into cynicism when you're ignorant of the thing and you're annoyed at the fact that you don't want to acknowledge it, and then you go into wisdom when you acknowledge it and you have no more ignorance on the fact, and then you move forwards. You do what is necessary to combat that very thing. Either way, let's talk about Ronin, because we're an hour in, we haven't seen anything, and I'm hearing, lads and ladies, maybe it's G-Host, maybe Yarrow is G-Host, but either way, talking about G-Host, you guys know it, right? Trending tokens today, up there. We've seen, this is on the Ronin Wallet Hub, but I've been hearing talk of Ronin token, EN Ronin, has been trending. This trending tokens is based on the hour, which I think is a little bit strange, right? We should 5 minute, even fucking worse. We should probably go on a longer time frame, but over the course of the last 24 hours, here's our trending tokens. Ronin car, our car, seems to be doing a little something, up 11% on the previous 24 hours. But Bomb and Ronin, which are all associated, with that developer group or development group under G-Host Christ.
I don't know. Check out Ronke.
Well, Ronke is doing a Ronke thing, bro. 13%. It's the most. It's come on. No financial advice. Best investment on Ronin. Don't know how those two, oxymoron statements go next to each other, but hey, no financial advice. Either way, this is what's happening on Ronin right now. We're gonna get a whole host of brand new tokens when Craftworld goes on mainnet. You're going to see the resources in here. Runic trying to make a recovery as well. I've seen that, noticing that, Valhalla, the narrative kind of peeled off. And acknowledging this, right, the Ponzi narrative and the creation of these games was like an influx moment where a lot of things were happening thick and fast, and it felt to me, as someone that's not, like, sidelined on a lot of these projects, which is obviously a position that's not going to make you attentive, but it felt to me that, like, the narrative was fizzling out a little bit. But we're seeing responses this week, today, and ETH is up as well. We've seen macro things happen, so maybe it is not just over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it is not. I don't know who's still in these experiences, but hey, let us know in the comments if you are still taking part. What are your thoughts on the narrative itself. Is it a dying narrative? Is there sustainability? Are they uncovering the formula live on Ronin? Open Ronin has allowed a lot of things, so pretty cool. What on the trending side have we got for collections? Also, I want to highlight there's actually the event calendar that's appeared now on the Ronin Wallet Hub. I think is a really cool implementation. Just a little quick feedback here. I think we should include not only the centralized partnered events. I know Legends of Arcadia is not partnered. I know Zverse is not partnered, and they still exist on this calendar. But there should be, in my opinion, some kind of like color scheme. Make it real Ronky friendly, right? Color scheme it, highlight the days. You know what I mean? Like Google Calendar me, bro. Like this is amazing, but let's take it a little bit further. The trending collections, Bomber Ronin, that surprises me. I don't know if you guys are in the weeds of anything right now. Even I know for a fact Tokyo Beast is at the forefront, as well as the last day of Axie Epic Era in Origin. And for me too, Tokyo Beast is fucking incredible. It pains me to say it, but it's fucking fantastic.
It is.
Anything else you guys are watching? Kojins have been swept on the floor this morning.
Yeah, I just saw
that. So a lot of things crack-a-lacking out here.
Remember, when was it? Was it last week or the week before when we were talking about, it was last week when there was like that 250 RON mint or something. And we were like, if you're going to spend 250 RON, spend it on a Kojin, and then the floor 2Xs.
Yes.
I mean, it's not financial advice, but I wouldn't be surprised if that reaches like 1K plus RON, because like
because it's a scarcity, bro. It's
only 1K supply.
There's only 1,000 supply. Like I think maybe even more than that. Like thinking about, for example, Wild Forest at its peak, right? I think Rare, and they had like what 5,000? I think Lords.
The Lords were like 4K RON, 5K RON. I sold my Lord for 5,000.
The Mystics. But I think the floor was like at least $1,500 or something like that. Like at some point, $1,000, right? And Ronin Realms is like infinitely better, like as the potential of the product. So it's going to be really
Realms as well. Playtest was good. We've seen a lot of them. Shout out to everyone that took
Realms
part
of
in those.
Valyria was hacked one final time. Nah, bro, that's gotta be an inside
We
job.
We don't even really need to bring it up, bro. We don't but at the end of the day, fuck, man.
When I lose $1,000 on meme coins, I don't say, "Oh shit, I got hacked." You just
it was 3,700 RON.
Yeah,
that's the total.
$1,800.
Yeah, I was gonna say you are fucking pushing it at $2,000, bro. At this period of time, the most opportunistic period is today. When do you plant a tree? The best time to plant a tree is today, ladies. If you don't have RON in that portfolio, maybe it's a good little time. How many no financial advices are we giving out today?
It's the last one. Gaming show, so it's not a bad thing.
Let's talk about Epic Era. Let's talk about Epic Era, because I'm seeing in the comments as well, pro players are coming out of their shells, ladies and gentlemen. One of them being the guy adjacent to me here. Steven, you are out your shell, right? You grinding?
Yeah, I'm playing. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm playing Fan without Calcium, and it's not like, obviously Calcium is like so much better. You win the mirror all the time if they don't play Calcium. And now there's Navaga, bro. Navaga showed up. That's the comp that everyone has been hiding.
I got
like
rolled
the last
by
couple
Navaga
of days.
yesterday.
Navaga's disgusting. The only real way to beat Navaga is like you play Neo with Innate or Jinx, right? So yeah, Navaga is disgusting, and it's doing really good. They pretty much pushed out all the tiny fans out. We still see good comps, like Poison is in there. We see Owl, right? Aremzi playing Owl comp. Owl is really good against Tiny Fan too.
It's really good against Jinx. It's the comp I struggled against the most.
It's just really good.
Yeah, exactly.
How does it do against Navaga?
Probably doesn't. I'm not sure actually. I never seen.
That's gonna be a tough match. I think he carries the beach, bro. He carries the beach, so like the goal really and truly
to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you eliminate front or back line, you have the exposure to the Navaga, and I think that's where you win the game, right? Like you're basically focusing on getting.
Holy
damage in
shit!
as early as
Rank 1 is 23-0 against Owl. So that answers the question. Rank 1, Howler is 23-0 against
Yeah,
Owl.
yeah, no, but it loses pretty hard. It seems
Yeah.
like.
Shout out to Axitop, bro, because you
He
have
did
to,
win,
you
though.
have to
Axitop.
have a premium account to really be participating in.
It's
like,
$3
the
a
high-end.
month. It's $3 a month,
Yeah.
and it's worth it if you're playing XE. Even
Uh,
if you just go ahead,
It
T-Ben.
seems that Ramsey's winning though. Some games against the
Okay.
Navaga comp, so he's doing all right. I mean, he's playing a different type of build. He's got like Healing Force and Moonlight Thief, right? Whereas like others are playing
Pure luck.
other. Mhm.
Yeah, some of them are playing again to counter Jinx, but it's interesting.
Oh yeah, brothers. Hell yeah, brothers. Well,
Navaga should be interesting. Next era, if it's already strong in Epic, it's going to be interesting.
yeah. What do you guys think of this? Do you believe this? What Robocop's saying? How nowadays with Axie, if you got level 60 morphable Axies, you just play for 1 day per era. I don't think you've been playing more
that's
than
just
1
such
day.
a bad take.
You can't do 1 day. You need at least like 2 or 3 minimum.
Yeah, 3.
Two-
Because
at least two. Yeah.
On the last day, nothing happens. Like if you're not already at the top on their last day, you can't crack it because people play less, they snipe you, etc. Anybody who's actually tried to do that knows it's not the case. But it's.
But we get the point though. What he's trying to say.
Yeah.
What
He's actually making. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is that like morphing just became this thing where you just become whatever you want. That's the best in the meta, and then just run it. But at the same time, we have to remember that it costs like if you're playing 3 Mystics, that's like what minimum of like 30 grand or something right now, right? So it's complete. I think it's fine. Yeah, they could do other stuff though. The real problem is like they don't really spice up the meta. Right? Because they're not really making changes. And I had an idea. Tell me what you guys think of this. And this is the first time you're going to hear of it, right? What if for morphing, there's a limited supply of parts that you can morph? So let's say there's only the same way, like there's like, morphing or becoming for Nightmare. So every season, right? Or every era, let's say, there's only like
per era
500 or 200 Nemos. Right, so the first to 200 Nemos will be able to morph to it, and then Nemo is like out of stock. So the people who morph early are good. The people who try to morph on the last day, they always risk not getting the parts that they want for their Axie.
So with this idea, how do you solve the fact that there's that people can morph ahead of time? It's like because morphing is not season by season. Are you talking about the free?
Fine.
Are you talking about the free tickets? Just the free tickets, or all morphs?
No. All morphs. It's okay to like. Let's say if you morphed before the season started, then you don't count towards the stock of morphing. Okay. But like this way, it's like we can even limit it even lower. Like let's say like 60 parts, right, or 100 parts. I don't know what the sweet spot is there, right? It's so that not everybody is morphing into like the best comp.
Same. Yeah.
But also, it's like you also stop the last day morphs from being able to get exactly what they want.
Yeah.
What if it was more like? Yeah, I think that's a good approach because you put scarcity on
Every
the
part.
amount of comps that can every part itself, but even down to like, what about the account, right? Like the account each season has like a limited amount of morphs, so like you really have to plan for each era, maybe even have multiple assets for the course of the season.
Well,
these are the assets going to morph for rare.
It
only works one time though, right?
I want people to morph though. Like the point is like I want people to morph. I just want people to morph earlier, right? But I don't want people to morph and be like, oh, you can't morph in like the last 3 days, because then you still have the same issue happening. Right, where like players are still gonna have the same comp, like the same way they do on the last day. I just want like people who morph day 1 of the first 2 weeks to have like some kind of advantage, right? Versus like just morphing on the last day. So this is how I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, this sounds like something that's doable. Let's say like Tiny Fan, right, was the most popular, and then people keep morphing into Tiny Fan on the last days. But what if there's no Tiny Fan after the first 3 days because you cannot morph into Nemo anymore,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yeah,
need three Nemos in one team.
Yeah, I just think it's it kind of goes after the main revenue model of Origin right now. So whether it be, I just really don't think it'll be like into. All right.
They won't do it.
It's
just wishful thinking.
And it's a very interesting idea. I think even before saying attacking the revenue model, let's look at how many morphs there actually are, because
we don't have that data.
There's not hundreds of every part being done. It would be interesting that it would create at the very least even a false scarcity, which would rush people into doing it, and then the meta would almost evolve faster, right? So that it doesn't even. It's just to challenge that idea about it attacking their revenue model, because I don't even think it would be the case. I think the meta would evolve sooner because people would commit, and then you'd have even potentially more spending because people would adapt to that whatever comp comes out after 3 days.
Yeah.
Especially a little bit like Tokyo Beast,
right? Because now it's like they morph early because they secure their part, and then let's say like someone else creates a new build, they're gonna rush to morph that because they're gonna be like, oh shit, the part's gonna run out. Yeah. I gotta get in there first. So I think it's.
I mean, it's a very interesting idea. It all needs to start first though with more rewards going to the very top, so that they can. No, but so this can be afforded. Like if there's more. It first create that and then you blow up the FOMO.
I actually I just realized that or not realized, but I want to bring up that they talked about how they're gonna tease more stuff starting this week. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Wait, what? From Axie account?
Posted. Who was it? Davicio, I think, was writing like, "Hey guys, now might be the time to, start." Teasing more things, and then I think Plus2 wrote that, this week we're gonna turn things up. So I think it's interesting, or what it's about, because we are supposed to have a playtest right at the end of the summer.
Yeah, summer's about to start. The playtest coming soon, baby.
Yeah.
Let's see. Parts 2, what have you been saying? Let's find it. How about an Axie MMO progress update? Prepped for this last week. We should have a flurry of summer playtest content coming starting next.
Sounds fucking good. That was last week. This is this week.
No. The June 7th is...
June 7th is last week, Gilla. Even in America, June 7th was Saturday. Everywhere in the world, June 7th was Saturday, bro.
Yes, but that means Monday. That means Monday 16th.
Those mental gymnastics are hurting my brain.
Bro, it means Monday 16th, bro. Come on.
Okay, it means July, guys. First week of July. Fuck off.
Yeah. It means Monday next week. Either way, yes, I think, we're talking about, solving issues with the game that they clearly have, not sunset, but, it's not the priority, it's not the focus.
Yeah, but if we still need to voice our opinion. If we don't agree.
No.
They've done it before.
You should be censored. Yeah.
Okay. Well, coming from you, that's very fucking rich.
Yeah.
No, but they sunset Classic before when Origins opened up. So it's happened before, and we didn't speak up then because we didn't either know or know that we could say something or should say something.
Just say it.
Yeah, but and so it's just like if you feel like it should stay or they're just trying to save operational manpower almost and costs. It doesn't mean that they're against it. So it could be. Yeah. That's why, I think it all starts with revamping, reworking the reward structure, and then the rest will come because you could do. Well, that's how I'm seeing it in my mind. But you could do a thing where pros suggest balance changes, stuff like that. Community gets votes on it. I don't know. We'll see.
This. I was in the shower the other day and I was just thinking.
Oh, more shower thoughts.
Another shower thought. Jesus.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the past and I don't know how it came to. I think
it was definitely like this, that pose where you
So I was in Vietnam. I was in Vietnam, and that's where I shilled Ron to meet. Meet bought a bunch of Ron at like 50 cents, I think.
Oh, okay.
And
Cool. Oof.
yeah. No, he made bank on it because he actually listened. He didn't want it. He didn't want to buy it because he's like, well, I'm gonna play Axie, I'm gonna get AXS, I'm gonna get Ron, I'm gonna get the stuff anyway because of playing. Why would I buy it? Then I showed it to him, and he made bank. He exited well. What I remember was we went to the Sky Mavis office and we took a picture and we tweeted it. I'm like, this is what it could have been with the Sky Mavis logo, because there was a time when Origin first came out that Meat and I were recommended by the Sky Mavis team. Handpicked a few people: Hale, Jatster, Meat, and I. Okay, we four was supposed to be part of like this kind of like a council / balance team.
How you were left out
Origin.
of that list? I don't
All right.
know, but...
And what happened was the community had an outrage. They were like, no, they're going to have a competitive
Oh, yeah, because
advantage.
it's pro players.
You know,
I remember
you
this
cannot
actually. I
do
remember
that.
this.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Right before
that makes-
Axicon?
Yeah. This was
All
right
coming
after
back to me.
Axicon. Exactly. And then it's like, yo, they're going to have a competitive advantage. And then I was thinking and I was looking back and I was like, we won everything anyway. Like me and I won everything anyway. Like what the fuck? Like whether we would have had a competitor, at least we would have had a much more fun and balanced game. You
Yeah.
know. Instead, it's like we won everything anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that. That was like it was
It goes to show like how out of touch community truly is in a lot of things, right? Because
Yeah.
they just speak the first thing that comes to their mind.
Yeah.
Right? They don't think about longevity. They don't think about like why things happen or why things should happen or why it's good for you, what people's intentions are. So
and that's what it's one of the it's yet another reminder of why I'm in no rush to get governance, because most people just have horrendous fucking takes and I don't want them voting for and I can include myself in that, you know, so let's just let the cooking to the cooks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bring on the summer, bro. Bring on the MMO list you want to find
There's
out.
nothing quite like 50 IQ person giving suggestions of where the future needs to go for a complex Web3 economy. I think that's the
Jesus, if you're 50 IQ, I don't even scale, bro. It's fucking insane. Listen, we've got I think we pretty much I'm about to fucking rug this bitch, but yeah, I think let's just vocalize as a community, really and truly. Something's cooking. Like it's obvious. Something's cooking with Ronin, right? And it is like it has to be. It has to be, of all the things that we've seen, of all the things G-Host has posted, of all the things I've been conversed about that I've seen from around this topic, it's gonna be some kind of reward system within Ronin itself. May the greatest game in chain create the greatest gamification of rewards with the interaction on the network, and who knows where that will, take us for the rest of this year. It isn't just around the corner, I don't think. It doesn't seem that way, but it's definitely being discussed, focused on, and considered. So, a price of Ronin today with no reward structure, gamification, incentive drivers, and high value users coming into the network, obviously is down here at what, 50 cents, right? 54 cents or something right now. I don't know. It's probably
58 cents.
58. Hey, we're almost back at that 60. Hello. But yeah, I just think, with the realization of that development, I think we're probably going to see some sunshine pretty soon. And on that note, listen, lads, I'm gonna go. I've got Project O playtest to do today, so I'm gonna check out TCG. That's gonna be fun. Tokyo Beast is absolutely killing it right now. I swear on my life, bro, that game is cracked. I hate saying it because as much as I'm a Ronin, as much as I'm a Ronin, I cannot ignore this project is quality. They done did their research, bro, because what they've put out here, you try and poke holes, and there's not many areas in which you can. It's very difficult.
They are gonna have a botting problem too. So
for sure.
Let's see how they solve that. I saw today they made a big update they've added more jewel rewards, so that's gonna dilute a little bit too. But
Ooh.
if it makes people happy, and it brings
Yeah, like
in more
early
people,
euphoria. Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? Again, like first week's always hype, but it's always what happens after that that
Yeah.
truly test a game. And Stark,
Yeah.
you said 50 IQ? Nah, bro. Those guys are geniuses. Don't forget the mid curves. Those are the
Yeah. The mid
real
curves are
ones you have to
worse,
worry
bro.
about, okay? The mid
Lefted's got the ideas,
mid
bro.
curve takes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. As a left cover myself. We're better. We're better than the mid curves.
If I'm being
No, wait.
genuinely honest, I think you're absolutely above the mid curve level, but it's like you're like at that end point, that slope. You're just like you could pull yourself into genius and super Obi-Wan Kenobi
But-
intellect,
but I'm a fucking
your self doubt pulls you back to mid curve. That's what it is, bro. Because you're not mid curve, but self doubt does. Either way,
You're saying he's at the
let
breakout
me
point?
let me do the self deprecation. It suits. It's on brand. Let me
I'm
call
good at
myself
it.
a cunt.
I'm good at
All right.
it. Don't take my favorite sport from me.
All right. Talking to sports, I'm actually diving deep into fantasy football. It's going to be strictly football, the one that you play with the foot and not fucking throwing an egg.
Not handball.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm taking some deep dives in that. So if that's something that you're interested in, then stay close to Gila. But also I did a research module on the top 10 games in crypto that are live and playable. I'm going to be playing those on stream. Honestly, the list that it gave out is pure like puke and vomit, but I'm going to put myself through
What's the
torture
list?
to. You want the list?
Yes. Let's hear it.
It's pretty trash. Actually, you know what? This is just showcasing how good Google VO is. Or Gemini, sorry, because it actually put together the research module and then also condensed that research module into a HTML like hub, so you can view it as almost like a web page. And it called itself the Vanguard of Play to Earn. Right, so it gave a little metrics, but the list is, and based on the ratings of hype, impressions on social media, active gamers, and like deciphering the proof of that, number one, Pixels. Yeah, whatever. Either way, the list is Pixels, Axie Infinity, Alien Worlds, which I've not heard of, Sandbox, So Rare, which is a fantasy sports application, Splinterlands, DeFi Kingdoms, Big Time, Gods and Change, and Star Atlas. So the point of playing these and concluding the research module at the end of the week is one, for video content, and two, really fighting the fact that we have such small scope outside of our catacomb of sorts on X and in the industry, that these are seen as the biggest games when external research is done outward of just social media and X, right? Like which I don't think I would have put a lot of these games in.
Are you gonna use a Web3 app for your fantasy football?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so Rare is quite well known.
Yeah, so Rare is quite well known. I think the economy of it is pretty broken though, because it's like a barrier for entry for ownership. There's one that's interested me as of recent. It's actually called Football.fun. I'm going to test this out during the Club World Cup this week. But yeah,
look at Trevor's comment. He's like, "Is this list from 2021? What the fuck?"
Exactly. So
it actually
is. It is. It absolutely is. Well, 2021 Pixels doesn't exist, so it really isn't. But yeah, I'm gonna like it. I'm basically gonna make a meme video of this. But yeah, there it is. We have a guest coming on the show on Thursday. Hopefully, fingers crossed. A guest that you guys will all know and will much appreciate. So look forward to that. Also, we're gonna start doing something else, right? Just keep eyes peeled on all three of our personal accounts. Maybe very soon, maybe in the next 24 hours.
Maybe.
Also, we have this really cool shit